One of the criticisms I hear people make about Donald Trump is that he is too petty and he calls people names too much. And he does. I mean, he's calling Marco Rubio Little Marco. I mean, isn't that cruel?
Policy question for you, sir.
Let's see if he answers it.
I will. Don't worry about it, Marco. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, little Marco. I will.
All right, well, let's hear Big Don. Donald.
Don't worry about it, Don't worry about it, little Marco.
Gentlemen, gentlemen.
You ought to show up.
Gentlemen, you got to do better than this.
Little Marco. I mean, wash Trump's mouth out with soap and water, am I right? He called Rubio Little Marco. What a bully. That's one of the things liberal newspapers say about Trump. He calls people names too much. That's what the New York Daily News says about him when they're not calling Trump Adolf Hitler, because you see, they hate Trump's name calling so much. I mean, it's weird. New York City has almost 1 million Jews in it. To tell them that Trump is no better than Hitler really means that Hitler was no worse than Trump, which means Hitler wasn't that bad a guy. Okay, if he's not Hitler, he's at least Mussolini, am I right? Gawker, a liberal news media website, boasted that it set up fake social media accounts trying to trick Donald Trump into retweeting an obscure quote from Benito Mussolini, the Italian fascist leader. Total victory. They totally got him. And by the way, you know it's true because, like Mussolini, Trump makes funny faces sometimes, too, as you can see in this popular animated graphic. Now, Saturday Night Live went further and said that it's not just Trump who's a Nazi, his supporters are Nazis too. Nazi armband, Ku Klux Klan hoods. Hilarious stuff. Of course, Donald Trump's daughter, Ivanka, is Jewish. She converted to Judaism to marry her Jewish husband. Their kids are Jewish. So I hope Ivanka doesn't find out that her dad's a Nazi, or those two big, beautiful black women who introduced Trump at so many rallies. Diamond and Silk are their nicknames. I sure hope they don't discover that Trump is a secret Klansman. Look, there are plenty of reasons to dislike Donald Trump, but seriously, calling him a fascist? Even good conservatives, credible conservatives, are starting to say that. I love Glenn Beck, but he actually seriously said Trump was like what Hitler was in the 1920s. I'm going to disagree here. I don't usually disagree with Beck, but look, in the 1920s, Hitler wasn't marching as the honorary parade marshal in a pro-Israel rally like Trump was. Look, I'm glad that the world is on guard for fascism in the United States government these days. I mean, Donald Trump said he wanted to tighten up libel laws in America. That's something I'm against. I believe in free speech. Living in Canada, I know that life without a strong First Amendment guaranteeing freedom of speech means political censorship gone mad. I've experienced that personally. I get that Trump despises so much of the press. They are despicable. But I disagree with him on tightening libel laws. But I also happen to know that the First Amendment would stop Trump, and libel law is a state matter, not a federal one. But still, I'm glad the rest of the mainstream media are suddenly interested in press freedom. Like when Hillary Clinton, then the Secretary of State, blamed the terrorist attack on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi in 2012 on a filmmaker in California named Nakula Basili Nakula because he made some YouTube video. So she had him arrested and jailed to distract from what really happened in Benghazi, an al-Qaeda terrorist attack, after she and Obama had said al-Qaeda was finished. So yeah, fascism. Isn't that what arresting filmmakers and jailing them on flimsy pretexts is called? Or the Department of Justice hacking into the computer of reporter Cheryl Atkinson from CBS News. Or the IRS using private and confidential tax information to harass anyone opposed to Obama, auditing them, prosecuting them. Isn't that fascist? Look, I'm all about fighting fascism in the U.S. government instead of sucking up to it like Hillary Clinton did to every dictatorship from China to Iran to Russia as Secretary of State. I mean, is Vladimir Putin a fascist? I think it's probably fair to say so. There's a picture of Hillary saying she wanted to reset relations with Vladimir Putin because George W. Bush had been so mean to them. And indeed, she did reset them. She and Obama let Putin gobble up part of Ukraine. John Kerry did too. Really, is there any fascist in the world that Clinton or Obama won't hug, from Iran to China to Saudi Arabia? So yeah, Trump has an abrasive personality. That's not rare in politics. And he calls people names.
This is a tough business to run for president.
I know you're a tough guy, Jeb.
And we need to have a leader that is principled.
Tough.
You're never going to be president of the United States by insulting your way to the presidency.
Let's see, I'm at 42 and you're at 3, so
Doesn't matter.
far I'm doing better.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, clearly a fascist. Look, there are reasons not to support Trump. He's not a tested and true conservative. He's not even really that conservative at all. Except on closing open borders and unlimited immigration and risky Muslim migration. Actually, come to think of it, on that core issue, he's a better conservative than anyone else in the race. But he's too much of a bully. I mean, imagine Trump in charge of our military.
So, I mean, that is the land of unconfirmed reports.
Yes, we came, we saw, he died.
Did it have anything to do with your visit?
No, I'm sure it did.
Oh, whoops, that's Hillary Clinton laughing about the brutal death of Muammar Gaddafi at the hands of Islamic terrorists. She was so proud of that, though. That's horrific Islamic State-style murder right there, pretty much identical to the way they later murdered the U.S. ambassador to Libya when he was in Benghazi on her watch. So, listen, Trump is a politician, and we should be skeptical of all politicians, but please don't tell me that after 7 years of Barack Obama's hyper-politicization of the IRS, the Department of Justice, the military, the courts, the sucking up to fascist regimes overseas, the arrest and spying of American journalists, please don't tell me that you're suddenly concerned about fascism because Donald Trump is such a meanie. Here, let me play for you perhaps the most fascist comment made by a U.S. president that I have ever seen and heard. And this one was done in the United Nations itself.
The future must not belong to those who slander the Prophet of Islam.
Yeah, let me know when Donald Trump says something like that. For the Rebel.media, I'm Ezra Levant.